The ban on TikTok here in the U.S. is BS. So here's where I'm at.
We do not collect body, face, or voice data to identify our users.
I find that hard to believe. It's our understanding that they're looking at the eyes. How do you determine what age they are then?
We rely on age gating as our key age assurance.
Age
gating, which is when you ask the user what age they are. We have also developed some tools where we look at their public profile to go through the videos that they post to see whether...
Well, that's creepy. Tell me more about that.
It's public. So if you post a video, you choose that video to go public, that's how you get people to see your video. We look at those to see if it matches up the age that you talked about. Now, this is a real challenge for our industry because privacy versus age assurance is a really big problem.
Look, you keep talking about the industry. We're talking about TikTok.
2 presidential administrations now have declared the social media platform that is TikTok to be problematic and called for its banning. Now, at first, when Trump made his declaration against TikTok, there was a clear narrative against the Chinese company invading so many of our American lives and their privacy. There was a narrative being pushed that this TikTok app was the most intrusive app on your phone. The claim was that it intruded into all of your contacts and all of your pictures, and then also all of your engagement throughout all the other apps on your phone. Now, from what I've learned, there isn't much information TikTok can take from your specific engagement in other apps besides how often you use them and for how long you use them, but not really the interconnectivity of what you're doing in those apps, as I was kind of led to believe, but also this narrative that it's the most intrusive. As I started to parse it apart more and more, I came to learn that Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, they're all similarly situated and equally as intrusive. So you have to ask yourself, where is this narrative coming from? I mean, take a look at this recent committee meeting where we had generals and politicians speaking on the dangers of TikTok.
Director Wray, yesterday you expressed concern about the CCP's ability through its ownership of ByteDance to control narratives, software data on TikTok. So long as ByteDance or another Chinese entity owns or maintains control of TikTok or its algorithm, would you maintain those concerns?
Yes, it's the ownership of the CCP that fundamentally cuts across all those concerns.
And specifically ownership of the algorithm and control of the algorithm.
Well, it's control of the algorithm, it's access to the data, and it's the software's it's control of the software, which allows access to the devices. So you've got a data collection issue, which could be used to conduct all kinds of data operations and traditional espionage. It's the algorithm, that, as you rightly pointed out, that enables them to conduct influence operations. And as I said in response to an earlier question, that's particularly concerning because it's not at all clear we'd be able to detect that. And then third and finally, it's the control of the software, which gives them access to millions of devices. And all you got to do is look at the fact that the Chinese government has the biggest hacking program in the world, bigger than that of every other major nation combined. Put that together with the fact that they have stolen more of Americans' personal and corporate data than every nation, big or small, combined. And you put that together with the risks that you and I are talking about, and to me, it highlights what a big concern this is.
General Nakasone, do you share Director Wray's concerns? Are you willing to answer the question whether we should ban it?
Certainly, one third of Americans get their news from TikTok every single day. 1/6 of American youth say they're constantly on TikTok. That's a loaded gun, Congressman. And as you know, we are executing for us the work to ensure that TikTok is not on government applications and IT.
In sharing his concern that the Chinese government could use TikTok to control data on millions of American users, FBI Director Christopher Wray told a U.S. Senate hearing on Wednesday, March 8th, saying the Chinese-owned video app screams of security concerns. This FBI director further explained to a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing on worldwide threats to U.S. security that the Chinese government could use TikTok to control software on millions of devices and drive narratives to divide Americans over Taiwan or other issues. So here's where I'm at. I can totally respect the position that we need to be concerned with the threat of China. I think for too long we've underplayed that threat, and now we've really created a beast that we can't avoid. I mean, China owns our academic system, they own half of our land, and they've taken over our free market. Let's think about it. When it comes to our schools, a game they've played is they've come into public and private universities and they'll donate a couple $1,000,000 to build them a building. Hey, we'll build you a brand new dining hall or a brand new dorm. The only catch is you can't teach X, Y, and Z. And it's mainly just Chinese history. So what they've done is through what would claim propaganda, they've bought and sold any type of history or narrative that can be taught in our school in regards to China. So try, taking up a class that's going to have a truly critical and knowledgeable approach to Xi Jinping and how he's gotten to where he's at. It's very limited because, again, America, we're a bunch of corporate whores, and if you're going to build me a new dorm, whatever. They're not even going to know what they're missing. You think the blue-haired kid that's doing gender studies is even going to know we're not teaching X about China? No, just let it go. So they got our academic system. Secondly, they're buying all our real estate. They're coming in here and buying all of our farmland. I mean, right now, it's like hungry hippos between China and Bill Gates. Who's going to buy the most farmland and take over just our real estate? And now thirdly, and probably most impactfully, they now have a chokehold on our free market to where you can't even compete in this system without having slave labor at cheap costs in China. And we don't build anything to last like we used to. We build things for profit. And they've been able to capitalize on that. And I mean that figuratively and literally. So I don't know how we would be able to recreate our market without just completely underhauling and revamping the whole thing, because now the only way to compete in this free market is to pay child slaves to create it for you. So don't get me wrong. The threat of China is huge, and it's there. But also, you got to start asking, what's the beef with this app? I'll admit, they have the best algorithm amongst any social media, and it's totally catered to me. That's why it's so addicting. Of any other app, there's nothing so addicting like TikTok, where you log in and the time warp just sucks you away, and your time, you blink and what? It's been 2 hours? The way they're able to accomplish that is giving content that truly appeals to you. And then also, I don't give this app my 2 hours and then still come out the other end a total dunce. There's the social narrative that's been created of, it's just an app of little kids dancing. And that's how they've been kind of able to hide the guise of what's really going on that app, and that's unification. I mean, there's no more centralized dissemination of information than that app. It's connecting people who are communal, that are similar in nature, and bringing people together. So, but it's also keeping you informed. So you're not only getting the social political narrative that's pushed by the system, but you're getting that alongside independent commentary, all brought together with the people and their opinions on the matter. And so what's interesting is my dad gets to think he's totally up on current events and he's educated on the news because he goes home and turns on basic cable, regular news, and there's never been a time, because he's been a, critic to TikTok too, and I looked at him and I said, there's never once been a time where you've come to me with a story that I didn't already know. And me and him, we have a lot of discourse on politics and current events, and there's never a time where he goes, hey, have you heard of this? And it's, oh no, I haven't heard of that yet. So yes, there's funny, silly videos and comedy videos that make you laugh and girls dancing, but that's all in between the things that are truly interesting to you. You into bird watching? You into knitting? It's got every little weird niche alongside teaching you things you never thought you'd actually know. Interesting fact, platypuses are venomous and glow in the dark. Thank you, TikTok. So it's an app that I can't put down. For the worse, but that's called willpower. It's an exercise that I'll have to develop. It's not the app's fault that it's just that good. It's extremely entertaining. It's extremely informative. But the question is it truly so intrusive? Is it going to give China a power over us that we can't possess ourselves? Another interesting concept that plays to the hand of why we need to get rid of TikTok. TikTok here in America is different from TikTok in China. The TikTok here in America is riddled with fun dances and other distractive things along with information, but just as much distractive things, whereas China's TikTok is strictly for academic and educational purposes. No distractions, it's only to better their people. Well, one, I think that's the answer, is that's what we should just call for. We want our TikTok to be just as supportive and helpful as the others, but we keep getting distracted. The real point is, how intrusive is it compared to the other apps? So here's where I'm at. What I think is really going on, I think Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, all of these platforms are being crushed by the addictive algorithm, whatever, computerized crack they put in their code in TikTok that the people can't put down. Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, none of them can compete with whatever TikTok's got going on. That's a problem, especially when Silicon Valley and big money interests are what's pulling the strings in this country. Yeah. They don't like when your attention and the coercive powers of social media are in the hands of someone else and not them. The reality is they're not doing this for your safety. They've never cared about your safety. They've never cared about the betterment of you and your day-to-day life. What they care about is conserving their power and not losing it to someone else. Let's agree we definitely don't want, if there is a power exchange, we definitely never want to see it in the hands of China. But also what I do think TikTok has given us is it's disarmed the power of our government, and I don't think it's handed it over to China, but it's handed it over to us, the human hive. We're able to learn and listen from each other. When a train derails and explodes in Ohio and the government doesn't feel that it's a FEMA emergency and wants to send any help, or there's a claim that, oh no, just look the other way, nothing really happened. The only reason the human hive, all of us, were able to learn that this thing happened and was going on was because of platforms like TikTok. I do think Twitter, since it's exchanged hands, has become a little bit more public and free, but it still has its play, let's be real. But Facebook laughed a couple of elections ago about how much coercive power they have. And they said, well, not necessarily in America, but in other countries, they're able to manipulate elections. And you're like, whoa, you're that comfortable admitting that? So of course they hate it that we're losing hours and hours of person A, B, and C all across the country to this other platform. And gosh darn it, it's owned by the enemy. And if there's one thing we know, it's that China doesn't have any free companies, right? The CCP, or the Chinese Communist Party, they own all companies and they manipulate and control all the comings and goings of their country. So this is definitely an extension of the party. TikTok is. This isn't just some free corporate interest. This is definitely tied to the interests of another country. A country, by the way, that is considered an adversary to us. So when the director of the FBI and the director of the NSA come together in a Senate hearing to exclaim that we need to ban TikTok, you really got to question, is it because they really care about young Jimmy in Idaho in his bedroom? Or is there a bigger play at hand? I lend myself to believe that it's more likely than not that they don't like the power struggle that's going on, and watching the coercive power of social media be grabbed by a company that they can't control or doesn't have interest in our country. But also I want to consider that on balance with the utility of TikTok. Something I never thought I'd actually say, but I haven't seen anybody actually stand up for this point, and I do think it's relevant. I don't think TikTok is harmful in that, besides how much time it siphons from us. Does it track our privacy? Yes, and we need to be more conscious of that. We shouldn't be just handing it away, because soon we will truly feel the effects of what it was like giving our privacy away for 10 years of our youth to any company that was willing to take it as long as I could use their filters to look silly. The utility of TikTok is a few things. It's entertainment, and I do think it brings a lot of joy. But I could say wholeheartedly, I've learned a lot of random things. From installing a car battery to a killer shrimp pasta, I've learned it all unintentionally. And I'm appreciative of that. But also, there's no platform that I have felt more free to say things. When I consider something like TikTok on balance with all the other platforms, with YouTube, I can only use certain words. I can't use certain names. It'll trigger an algorithm and shadow ban me. TikTok allowed a little bit more freedom. But even more so, it was allowing communities to be built of like-minded people that were actually allowed to question. There was none of this indoctrination of either say and believe the narratives we preach or be tanked for life. There was this open-mindedness of, instead of, as long as you're not in pushing violence or harm, there's more supportive attitudes there than you would find elsewhere. But like anywhere else on the internet, of course it has its dark sides to it. You've got weird LGBT teachers that are pandering to young kids in this weird fashion. There's conservatives that are able to go even more alt than otherwise would have been because this app pushes them in an echo chamber that only furthers it. I totally get that there's dark sides on all sides of the spectrum that are exacerbated with TikTok. But should it really lead to the banning of it? The final question begs, is this for the betterment of society and the health of the human mind in America? Or is it to further corporate interests that really control our government? So in conclusion, I tend to lean towards the latter. I think it's more likely that the government is protecting its corporate interests more so than it is standing up for you, the little man. Taking it on balance, I am fearful of what the Chinese government can do with this information, but that's why you got to be careful of what you give it, what you put on the internet, and what you use these devices for. Do I think they could become an entity like Facebook had been and use their echo chambers and pushing of narratives to create further division? Totally. But listen, we are in a deeper hole than TikTok could ever create. It isn't because of them that we're at each other's throats and divided on a blue team and a red team. That was created by the social media predecessors to TikTok that George Orwell warned us about. The social media platforms that I support are the ones with the least intrusive algorithms, the ones that manipulate your feed with filters and sponsors the least. Unfortunately, right now, that's TikTok. So the answer to this problem, Mr. Government, Mr. Big Brother, it isn't to get rid of TikTok. It's to make the other platforms less manipulative and less intrusive so that the user is naturally inclined to use that platform more. The situation is akin to what the First Amendment stands for, and that's the free marketplace of ideas. If we let all of the ideas flourish, the best ideas will settle to the top. I'd like to believe that if you let all media platforms flourish, the best ones would rise to the top. You're just mad that a better one came in because it's less manipulative, forcing your platforms to be less manipulative. I say this all the time. The worst thing to happen to Instagram, and the day Instagram turned the corner into a big brother platform, was the day their timeline was no longer chronological. You used to be able to see every post from every person you're following, and it was all in a timeline order. So you could just keep scrolling, and you would eventually get to a point where it would tell you, all right, you're caught up for the last 3 days, and you've gone through all the posts. Now, it's not in timeline order, so you don't know what you haven't seen. There could be something your friend posted and you don't know. There's also instances where now there's all these posts that I'm not even following that Instagram just thinks I want to follow, or there's sponsored posts. Wait, that's not my feed. I'll go to your Discover page if I want to look for something more. I'll seek it out. This was supposed to be the sanctity of my feed. And what you're learning is it allows them to manipulate what you see and what you don't. Then you have somebody like Mark Zuckerberg go on Joe Rogan and he says, no, it's for the good of the people. This is for the betterment of the user. The algorithm prioritizes what it thinks you should see because, if your buddy had a baby, our algorithm's so brilliant, it would know that you would want that as a higher level of importance than, let's say, a Kim Kardashian post. So because of that, the algorithm knows to prioritize it. Well, that's a beautiful way to package it. Of course I want to know about my best friend's baby before Kim Kardashian's new lipstick. Of course. But that's just the narrative. That isn't how it actually plays out in real life. And then when a whistleblower comes out at Facebook saying, oh, no, the science that you've all known seems to be true, Facebook does give you a feed that is more upsetting to you because it makes the user engage with the platform more. So your best friend, I'm sitting there wondering, why do I not see my best friend's posts more than this guy I never talked to, who I can't stand and haven't seen in 20 years since high school? Why do I see every single one of his posts? They drive me nuts. You want to know why? Because they drive you nuts. So Facebook shoves them down your throat. So again, a lot of what they sell is just words. It isn't actually the reality of how it all plays out. So I'm not sitting here grabbing the flag and marching for the defense of TikTok. We must keep TikTok. What I am saying is, don't take away the most free TikTok and assume it's the most used because we're just dumb lemmings. Know that it's the most used platform because the user enjoys it the most, the user gets the most out of it, and it's the least intrusive platform. So instead of taking this one away from us, you either supply a brand new one or compel the current platforms to compete by making their algorithms equally as free and inclusive. Until then, I'll be TikToking all day. So here's where I'm at.